Ladies and gentlemen, it's the last game of day one in the Nordic Championship League of Legends 2018, and it's been very exciting games so far. Now it's up again to Riddle versus Roligan to show which is the best. Is it Denmark or is it Norway? What are your predictions, Henning?
If you're putting me on the spot, I think Riddle...
I'm putting you on the spot.
I think Riddle looked slightly better, but at the same time, they didn't make a lot of weird decisions in game number 2. Picking Cillian support into a Janna looked really weird. He lost out in the bottom lane handedly and was punished after that by Roligan. So slight advantage to Riddle, maybe 60-40.
I think I agree with you, and I gotta say, that Cillian pick annoyed me a lot, to be honest, for having the last pick, for having that opportunity to really punish the early Caitlyn-Janna combination and not using it, going with Cillian, which, sure, if you are a lot better than your opponent, yeah, that's going to work out because Janna can be caught out with the double bombs and it's going to be a lot of DPS onto her, sure. But then you also go for the late game, you go with the tier, and you have a tier in your mid lane, you have a scaling ADC. I mean, at what point do you believe that you're going to hit your power spike with that?
Yeah, it's going to take a while for sure. And I mean, not to bash Archilles' play on the Cillian too much, but I think I saw him land one bomb stun on an enemy champion or something along the entire game. I mean, it's a hard skill shot to land, but
it is.
You're picking Cillian to have the resurrect and to land the stuns with the bomb, so that's pretty much it. Going into this game, though, we are seeing a lot of bans being adapted to across the series. We see Camille getting banned by Rudolph. I think he went like 9-0 on that in game number 1. Also, Cassiopeia and Janna targeted very clearly at Alec and Kidden.
Yeah, and also, of course, Cassiopeia and Alec's hand, something that you really can't play against. Alec has proven now twice that he's a very strong Cassiopeia player, and also with the buffs to the Archangel staff, it's almost impossible to kill him. It's almost impossible to survive when he catches you. You really need to get that champion out of the rotation.
Absolutely a power pick, and there is the Caitlyn. I have been talking so much about this champion in the specific matchup of these two teams. So strong for the Baron control with the traps, so strong at sieging, so strong in the early laning phase to push down the early towers, and Tide has been victorious once on it, so has Croxy, so getting it over onto the side of Tide here is really good for them. I'm interested to see if Croxy has a counter pick prepared for this Caitlyn, and there is Lulu getting blind picked. Now Lulu is a strong support when it comes to boosting up hyper carry, so if you have someone like a Kog'Maw or a Varus later on, Lulu's going to be able to provide a lot of synergy there. But early on, she can definitely get punished by one of the more aggressive laners, and Caitlyn is not a bad laner to pair with an all-laning support like a Thresher and Alistar because you can combo so well with the traps.
Yeah, and also you're not going to be worried about having Caitlyn together with the Lulu, since Lulu can boost her in a similar way that Janna can do. So it is something they have to worry about. Instead now, Braum, we've seen that Tide is good with the placement of the traps as well. Together with the Braum concussive blows, it's a strong combination when you get the ganks and you go in for it. But again, Sejuani, we talk a lot about this champion being one of the strongest junglers right now, but at the same time, it's a lot about the team and how you play around the Sejuani, because she doesn't really have any damage to do anything by herself. And that is something we have seen like every single team struggle with today. That synergy to go in for the calls and really follow up on them.
And I think Sejuani is a strong champion to set up those kind of plays, has the engage potential with the long range of the ultimate and the hard CC coming down from that glacial prison, but then you really need the follow-up to come in. Also, you spoke about it being sort of a team comp synergistic. You need extra melee champions to be able to boost the capabilities of the stun, which is not something that we have so far for Roligan, so I'm expecting to see not a melee AD carry perhaps, but at least a melee top laner. Something
melee AD carry. Something we might want to see. I don't know. Mordekaiser ADC getting into the meta. You heard it here first. Henning Eklund making the huge prediction.
Actually, might not be terrible with the new AP items. Like, it's, of course, not as good as a legit AD carry, but might not be as bad as it has been.
You heard it here first. All right, so here is the Ryze ban as well. Tristana ban, interestingly enough, versus Croxy. And I feel like Tristana is the kind of champion that on paper should definitely have a lot of impact in these games, especially versus the Caitlyn, but we haven't really seen it so far.
Not at all being able to do too much. Also has the strong scaling later on, but if you're a some 10 or 20 CS behind, and more importantly, several towers behind, you're going to have a really tough time up against that later on. So not too impressed by the Tristana so far. Looking towards the mid laners right now, though, we have some mid laners getting banned out on towards Bendix, with Alec already picking up the Orianna. Knowing that you're up against Orianna, an assassin pick is not actually terrible. There are assassins like the Echo that we saw earlier that could be strong picks for Bendix. I'd also like to see his Anivia that he showed earlier on. It could be a strong matchup into the Ori as well.
Yeah, together with the Caitlyn having that zoning capability, and also especially since we see these teams kind of hesitating around pulling the trigger for the team fights, adding a lot of zoning to that makes it even more difficult for you to really make the decisive decision to go in. And now together with the Kog'Maw, Orianna and Lulu composition, is this Season 3?
This might look like Season 3, but Kog'Maw actually works quite differently right now than compared to what he used to do. It used to be like Kog'Maw, if he gets 6 items, you win the game. Together with the Lulu, you have the best late game pretty much of any champion. Right now, he spikes really hard on 1 item, just needs the Rage Blade to be able to go down and put a lot of hurt, and then, of course, scales really well. With the Lulu still, who's probably going to go for an Ardent, but not the super good late game carry that we've been seeing. However, what I'm worried about for the sake of Roligan esports is that the Caitlyn Braum will be able to punish the Kog'Maw before he gets that 1 item.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult since Kog'Maw is very immobile, and sure, with the Whimsy from Lulu, you get the extra movement speed, but that has quite a long cooldown. You can't really rely on that just to get you the last hits. And versus Caitlyn and Braum, it is going to be difficult. And also, of course, versus a jungler like Jax that can come in and quite easily stun you, even if they predict your flash as well, capture you off guard. The Kog'Maw might turn out to be really difficult for Roligan Esport to pull off.
Yeah, if this Cho'Gath gets locked in from Nihilus, which I think it is, because it is a very strong champion and also a decent matchup into the Shen, so much weight is on Crox's shoulders. Unless Alec will be able to snowball, which I don't think he will, up against Bendix's Azir in the mid lane, Crox is going to be the big damage dealer for the team. He's going to be building something like a Rage Blade into Wits and then a Blade of the Ruin King, so the classic on-hit build. With an Ardent from Keaton, he's going to be putting down so much hurt if he can stand still and auto-attack without getting interrupted. And then it's the job of Bendix, Scooter, Riddle, Achilles to make sure that Croxy cannot stand still and auto-attack. So I'm not super convinced by the Kog'Maw so far. I kind of like the champion in general, but here there are so many tools to shut him down in the team fights. And
it's also a very smart pick and ban phase by Riddle to force kind of that Kog'Maw in, because what are the options really to go for it? Varus is banned, Tristana is banned, Caitlyn is picked. You kind of want to have the hyper carry possibility versus Caitlyn. You don't want to have something that has too late of a power spike. So you want to have the Kog'Maw, of course, that gets the power spike from the
Rage Blade,
thank you very much. But it's, again, I think Riddle this time, they did a draft very well. I think Roligan Esport are kind of just slightly behind them when it comes to the pick and bans. I feel like they're getting outpicked. And Game 2, the Cillian lost pick could have been something completely different, and I expect to see much more of the same playstyle as Riddle have in Game 1 for this game than we saw last game.
Yeah, that's what I want to see from Riddle as well, to get the early game pressure with the Caitlyn Braum combination in particular. That is going to be the big key to this game. And they got the Shen with that as well, which is a champion that I am a big fan of personally, not only because I like to play him, but he can contribute with so much to the team, especially now that we've been seeing so much bot lane focus so far in this matchup between these two teams. They have been ganking bottom lane over and over. So much focus has been on putting down the hurt towards the bottom side, getting the first bot lane tower, and then there's no better top laner than Shen to contribute to that playstyle.
Yeah, and also this time we're going to see Alec on a different mid lane. We're going to see the Azir. The Orianna. Orianna instead. And I think Alec definitely can play a good Orianna, but versus the Azir, on the other hand, I don't feel like it's going to be the same thing as he has been on his Cassiopeia. That is something different. There's a lot of different styles between these champions. I'm absolutely looking forward to this matchup. I believe this is going to be a great game, and it is the last one in the series and for today in the Nordic Championship.
Early invade coming in from Riddle. Braum is probably the strongest champion in this scenario, so if Nipples is not... Oh, gets away.
Yeah, he gets away. That could have been a very scary situation for Nijus if the Winter's Bite had hit him. But a good response from Roligan, going in with the deep wards, going to scout out the red buff, gonna wait for as long as they can before putting down the ward. Actually, maybe opting not to go for ward at all. There it is.
Yeah, they should put it down so that the ward will still stand when the red buff has spawned, so you're absolutely sure if Skude has elected to start there or not. Skude, of course, knows that the ward has been coming down here, so does not want to show himself too early, but as I said, that he runs straight into the ward. What a noob. What a noob.
No, we're not going to call him, you know that.
I'm joking, of course. He's a great player. He's a lot better than I will ever be.
That is true. That is true. But I do agree with you. It's not the best decision to reveal yourself that early. I mean, as long as you can wait for as long as you can, and just not give your opponents the extra edge. And also, I love that Kog'Maw skin, the Pog'Maw.
The Pog'Maw. Yeah, he's a dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. I just had to mention that.
Obvious. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Not a huge fan of it myself, although I like it in combination with this Lulu because you've got this like weird, wacky witch kind of girl together with a dog. That's kind of a funny combination.
That I don't know what to say. Like, I agree. I'm just gonna agree with that.
You probably should. Seems like a good idea. Doran's Shield is the starting item of choice for Croxy here, together with a Fleet Footwork. So not gonna go with a Lethal Tempo, which has been a choice for a lot of Kog'Maw players, but gets a bunch of damage down to Tide, and that is forcing a potion from the Caitlyn this early on. And you can see the range coming out of Kog'Maw with that W on. So Croxy getting a good start to the laning phase so far as Skude makes his way towards top.
Skude level 3. Looking to make top lane into a killing lane.
Dive this though, so can he? I don't think you can dive this, but
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure, but they're gonna go for it anyways. Rudolph is tanking the turret, leaving the damage to Skude. Rudolph have to flash out, but first blood to Skude as he just gets out at the nick of time, forcing them both to use flash though.
That is a pretty impressive dive though, forcing the summoner and getting the kill. And getting a kill like that when there's a... Skude recalled in the river in a bad spot, I think, and went down to Tronen in the 1v1. But yeah, as I was going to say, forcing the kill onto Shogat when there's a huge wave under his tower is going to mean that he loses out on a couple of CS right there, even though he can TP back to the lane. He still messes out in a bit, so a good play from Skude and Riddle, and I hope they're going to be back to try to get the... Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Shen has the TP advantage right now, so that means that a lot of good pressure is going to come down towards the bottom side once Shen hits level 6. So I want to see Riddle and Skude not use this advantage to keep sitting top lane. I want to see them use it to snowball the bottom lane instead.
Proxy and Keaton, though, really pushing it down bottom lane. Level 3 again, a lot of aggression. Arculus, though, doing a good job at keeping Tide safe with Braum this time instead of the Cillian.
Yeah, Braum, a bit of a defensive support, but very strong in the current meta game. His next tier support in terms of protection, in terms of utility, has chosen to go for the unsealed spellbook right now, which means that he will reliably be able to get the ignite early on for a stronger laning phase, and then later on go for something like an exhaust to shut down Croxy, who is not this sole damage threat, but by far the biggest damage threat with this Orianna, unless Alec will be able to snowball, as he was kind of able to do last game with Cassiopeia, but Orianna is a much more passive laner.
Alec also has gotten the recall already with the tier and has only lost 4 lost hits in his matchup. So Alec again showing that he is a force to be reckoned with, even with his Orianna when his Cassiopeia has been banned away.
Yeah, for sure, getting some control in the mid lane matchup. But let's talk a bit more about the item timings for these champions, because we do have a couple of champions on the side of Riddle that really likes to fight with one item. I'm thinking of Skude and Riddle on the Jax and the Shen, forcing fights around like one item, also kind of for Tide with the Caitlyn early game. Forcing the sieges, picks in the jungle, team fights around objectives is going to be beneficial for Riddle at that stage in the game, before Croxy unlocks the Rage Blade. Once there is a Rage Blade on towards Croxy, Roligan esports is going to have an advantage in the team fight when it comes to item timings, but before that, there's a big timing window for Riddle, so I really want to see them to put down the hurt. Scooter wants to get level 6 for the increased Jax damage, but after that, I really want to see them keep making the plays as they have done so far.
Tron chasing Scooter down bottom lane. He is safe as Tide and Arculus are pushing at the moment. And Rudolph now with level 6 still has teleport. Will probably want to use it soon as Niju's teleport is also slowly getting back off cooldown.
Yeah, Stand United being available when there is no TP for the Cho'Gath is a big timing window for Riddle, but of course Roligan knows this and should just play defensive towards the bottom side, not go for any insane 2v2 fights at the moment. So good idea for Roligan to just sit under the tower, lose a bit on CS, lose a bit on tower damage. That is fine, because the Shen, just the presence of the Shen when you don't have a TP on your own is too big for you to make any sort of plays on the bottom side.
And Croxy also with the biscuits has a lot of sustain, so even though he's losing out a little bit in Lost Hits right now, it's all calculated. They know that Rudolph has to stand united, and they will have to sacrifice a little bit of this laning phase just to make sure they're not being dived.
Yeah, the tower actually not taking too much damage. We're only at 7 minutes. The players have not been able to buy their items yet, but still the tower is standing strong for Croxy and Kidden. Not taking as much damage as you might expect from the Caitlyn.
I kind of feel like Scooter is hanging around a lot around bottom lane. I feel like he's just waiting for an opportunity to go in for a 4-man gank down there. He's been around, even waiting for his Raptors, not going towards top side at all.
Yeah, they could be looking to force some sort of a 5-man dive when Nihos is without his TP as a Cho'Gath, but it's starting to come up from cooldown in a couple of seconds, so instead Tronen will be forcing a fight towards the top side as it's going for a blue buff invade. Sees Scooter coming in though, so this might be a smite fight.
Smite fight, but Scooter gets it. 2 HP left on that blue buff and just a little bit of a miscalculation. Oh! Speaking of miscalculations, bottom lane, Kidden. Croxy does not use heal, does not use flash. Neither of them expected that ace in the hole to hit. And it's been a long day on the Rift for these players. And you can see what happens when you start to lose concentration.
That is a tilter right there. Croxy did not tank that up, he did not use the heal, and this is going to be a 5-man dive coming in towards the bottom side. Croxy needs to give up this tower as the Shen can come in at any time. This tower is going to go down before 9 minutes as 4 people are getting in here with the Shen potential to come in as well. Good play from Riddle, really abusing the mistake coming in from Kidden.
Oh, Shockwave is going to hit Bendix. Bendix get out immediately with the cleanse. Well played. And turning back again with the Glacial Fissure.
Yeah, Glacial Fissure, Prison, yeah.
Fissure. That was the word I was looking for. Although Rudolph decides not to use Stand United in that situation, I think Riddle could have gone for it, but again, playing so safe, not taking any risks at all.
Yeah, not overcommitting to getting that tower, but that also means that you're not going to be able to get the rotations in quite yet. Good first buy from Tide though with the BF Sword and then a bunch of attack speed. This is just what you want to be able to push down these towers. And now that Croxy and Kidden is recalling, this is going to be the tower going down, and I want to see Croxy and Kidden to make a conscious decision about what lane you're going to go towards here. Don't just blindly run down bottom lane. Think really hard. Is it going to be better to go towards the top lane right now to be ahead of the lane swap? No, they're actually going to be running down towards bottom side again, even though they will be losing out on their tower, I believe. But I have been calling towers dead before this today, and then they turned out not to be dead. So,
but I think this tower is dead. This time, I think it has to be for sure. They're trying to run down, but Tide went with the Berserker Greaves, went with the extra movement speed as that, and they came back to the lane earlier, getting the first turret and getting into the rotation a little bit earlier.
So now it's going to be interesting to see where does Tide and Arculus go. The Dragon as the first objective seems like a good choice. Ocean Dragon, generally the least useful of the dragons, but with a sort of a siege comp with the Azir and the Caitlyn, not a bad choice to go for at all. Even though you probably rather have an Infernal one, Ocean is not too terrible, and this is Tidy running towards the top lane. This is scary news for Roligan Esports, because that means a tower is going down top in a couple of minutes.
I mean, Ocean Dragon, when you want to siege and when you want to lane, it's no problem really getting it early. But I agree with you. Of course, you would rather have like the Infernal Dragon and such. There, the Rift Herald is going to go to Roligan, so at least they don't have to worry about that extra pressure together with Tide's early lead on their turrets. But still, they're not going to be able to use that Rift Herald as efficiently when they're fighting from behind. It's just going to be to make sure that they're not going to lose the mid turret too early.
And this is what I mentioned earlier, when Croxy and Kidden just blindly ran down bottom to try and save their tower, but they were not in time at all. Instead, they're going towards top side, but they're far behind. TP engaged coming in, though. Stun United is available.
TP coming in, but at the same time, the rest of the Riddle team, R2 and Nijis, concussive blows, has captured him. Same with the taunt as well on Tron, and the front line here is about to go down, but Arglist has to flash out together with the heal. Nijis is solo, Ignite is on him, will just barely survive it, getting back to the turret as Arglist goes down, and Croxy is completely untouched, chasing down Scooty. Cheeky backing off with the barrage in the air, making sure to pick up yet another kill and another turret for Roligan, as they now has the Rift Herald. And I just talked about Rift Herald not being too efficient for them from being behind, but they are not behind. They are definitely ahead, getting with the turret, going with the Rift Herald, getting all the kills as Roligan are looking to win game 3-2.
Absolutely huge play right there from Roligan, and the name of the game right there is mid-lane difference. There was such a clear 4 versus 4 fight, very even, no team really winning out, but then Alec was there like 10 or 15 seconds before Bendix flashed in for the shockwave, and that got the team 3 kills. I believe, really turning around that situation. So this game has gone from a clear Riddle advantage to a very even game.
And Riddle right now making the mistakes going into that fight, not thinking about Croxy's early game power. And that has cost them a lot right now, as they were in a clear lead before that happened.
Absolutely, they were able to use the Caitlyn to its full effectiveness to push down the towers, to get the sieges down with the traps. Now going towards the top lane tower, it looked like it was going to go down really quickly because of how far behind the bottom lane of Roligan was on the rotation. I think that the Kog'Maw and the Lulu could have played that a lot better, going top lane earlier to try and respond to that. But in the end, the TP came in, and that was a great team fight.
Yeah, it was. And I sort of hesitated on it being a good call at first. I think the Stand United also was used a little bit prematurely. The focus was not really onto the AD carry. It all went down on Arculus instead, as the Stand United could have saved him. They could have gone in for a deeper fight. And in the end, like, these small mistakes, they cost Riddle a lot.
Yeah, I don't think the call was clear from Riddle at all. If I remember correctly, Rudolph used the Shadow Dash, the taunt, to go forward and try to engage the fight when they knew that Alec was going to be like 10 seconds quicker than Bendix towards the top lane. So I think the proper call would just have been to try and go out rather than engaging. You can see actually Achilles used the minion dematerializer right there to kill the siege minion, just to be able to push down this tower quickly. And I gotta say it's a good choice. Just get the tower and then roam towards the mid lane after that.
So Riddle still, even though they just lost a huge fight, still fighting with a lot of confidence. As Croxy now going in for the trade with Bendix. He's just gonna back off though. It's no problem for him at all on his Nasir to stay out of range of Croxy. But Croxy was absolutely huge in that earlier fight together with Alec.
Yeah, for sure, really coming up big. And this is even before the big power spike of the Rage Blade. At this point, Croxy is not supposed to be doing too much damage, even though he has Lulu support. It should really be when he gets that one item that this game changes completely.
Flash play now, going in for Tide under the turret. Cronin about to be stunned by the concussive blows. Shockwave as well, he stops Scooter in the air, but still picks up the kill. Ace in the hole being used, being stopped, but Alec in a heap of trouble right now, trying to dash back and forth, nowhere to run. And here comes the taunt from the side, picking up another one. And a reverse situation of that earlier top lane fight puts Riddle in a good position again.
What a flash taunt right there from Riddle. Phineas not even being in the fight. Top lane difference in the favor of Riddle right there. What a play from this team. They now got themselves a distinct advantage with 3,000 gold, 3 towers to 1, and they won't stop the push. They've got the Caitlyn, they've got the Asir to bring down the towers.
They're going for another turret. Stan United used on Tide again. Could have been used on Scooty to keep him a little bit longer into that fight. But Tide again, everyone is so worried about him. I think though that in this case, everything worked out well.
Yeah, Tide getting his team back into the game, and we can see that the AD carry focus is so big from both of these teams, really focusing around bursting down Caitlyn on one hand and Kog'Maw on the other. Well, it's good to see that Croxy did have the flash available, but was not able to flash away from the taunt flash that came in from Rudolph, which really showed how good of a mechanical play that Shen engaged was from him.
Yeah, Rudolph didn't really impress last game, but for this one on Shen, the kind of playmaker that can make these flashy big plays are really hard to predict. He really excels. Same on his Camille earlier in this series.
Absolutely not looking too hot in terms of the CS department right now. Is down 23 CS to Nihus' Shogat, but I think that has a lot to do with the lane assignments and the fact that he's been roaming, he's been using his ultimate, and he's been together with his team more than the Shogat has. So not because Rudolph is a bad player or anything, he's in fact been making a lot of proper choices.
Scooty being focused again, but Unbreakable by Arcalus is going to keep him safe. 2 versus 4 is not the way to go. As Roligan right now used a lot of abilities, tried to find a pick onto the enemy jungler, but did not succeed. So it's again another Ocean Dragon, and Riddle can opt to go for it, or they can keep pushing the lanes.
Ocean Dragon is not at all bad in this sort of team combination, and when you've got one, getting a second one is also, I mean, it increases the value of the second one. TP is coming in from Nihus though. This is a fight that Roligan wants, but Riddle are really happy with just baiting out the teleport.
Forcing the teleport from Nijus, might leave this dragon. Actually going to leave it. Flash Shockwave is coming in. A great Emperor's Divide will stop this fight in its tracks, as Riddle now using teleport, gonna cancel it and back off. And I think Riddle did not get out on top of that one, but it could have been a disaster if they had been caught in that situation.
Yeah, I think that was the proper choice for Rudolph to cancel the teleport right there. And I've got to say that these teams are really trigger happy. They really want to pull the trigger, perhaps when they're not supposed to do so. Sure, Ocean Dragon is kind of a valuable objective, but it is not worth taking a bad fight over at this point. Like 18 minutes in, you don't want to be taking a bad fight just to get the Ocean Dragon. You'd rather just give that up. And I don't think that's something that these teams have really realized. Instead, they really want to be taking the fights at any opportunity they have.
Yeah, especially Roligan starting off that fight, even though they're quite far behind, looking just at the gold. At the same time, like, their power spike on the Kog'Maw is now, they're doing really well with their team comp, and that was a beautiful shockwave by Alex. Although it didn't really yield anything, they still got the objective, and if they can keep up this kind of coordination, they are definitely looking to get back into this game and getting that goal deficit into a goal lead.
For sure, that's going to be the case. Looking towards the items a little bit here, we're seeing that it's going to be a full tank build for Scooter, at least so far. And I think he's going towards the item that has already been picked up by Rudolph, which is the Adaptive Helm. And that is an item that I'm such a big fan of when you're going up against one of these on-hit AD carries like this Kog'Maw. The Adaptive Helm decreases the damage of the Kog'Maw by so much. So this is going to be a Jax that not only has the Counter-Strike, but also that item together with Riddle who has that as well. So this is going to be shutting down the damage of Croxy by a lot.
And also with the extra magic resist as well versus Alec. The big worry right now for Riddle seems to be that Alec is really good with the placement of his shockwave. They really have to watch out for that big AoE damage. But if they can just survive it, if they can have the tanks go in for it, Alec actually has proven, or Orianna as a champion has proven to have a struggle a little bit with the damage in the itemization at the moment. So then it's all up to Croxy to get the damage dealt and to win the fights for them, as Tide right now is on 2 items with a 30 CS lead.
Croxy has... Oh!
Another fight just started. Another shockwave only hits Scooter. He backs out of it. Great shields will keep Croxy alive as well. But another very even fight as both teams back out of it. Do not dare to go all the way in.
What an interesting blast cone being hit right there. I think that was actually the team of someone on Team Riddle who hit the blast cone and then threw Scooty and Arcos into the enemy team, which is not what they wanted. In the end, they were able to get away from that fight without taking too much hurt though. And about a 3,000 gold lead, I think that Riddle is actually making a proper choice, not forcing the fights too hard right now, because we've got the big power spike for Kog'Maw. Rage Blade completed with an extra recurve bow, and even more importantly, the Ardent Sensor completed on towards Kidden. So until the second adaptive helm is completed on towards Skude, this is going to be him putting down a lot of hurt. Speaking of Skude, he's starting up the Baron and taking a lot of damage.
Sneaky Baron, but they have been spotted by a control ward. There comes the Scry. Baron very low. Tronen might get this smite. Will try at least. Shockwave being used, but Ember's Divide is going to deny him completely as Riddle sneaks the Baron, tries to get away now. Rudolph is the last man behind. They're all not quite sure what they're going to do with this. Are they going to fight? Are they going to back out? They're in a bit of trouble right now, about to be caught. Slows are down, Rudolph tanking it all up, being chased down by Nijis. Nijis not going to hit that rupture, and Riddle gets away with the Baron at 21 minutes.
What a confident choice from Riddle right there. That shows a lot of balls to go for that call. Start up the Baron. I gotta say, I love it. Riddle is really showing that they can step up as a team. And I think whoever's shot calling for the team right now, that's gonna be the MVP. Because that, going for the 20-minute Baron right there, when you're just with the small lead against the Kog'Maw with the power spike, that is not a call that a lot of people would have made.
That's a really dangerous call, and also with the control ward, they were spotted, but I don't think that Roligan expected them to get the Baron that fast. They forget how much damage that can come out from Asir, Jax, and Caitlyn at this point. So now that is the Baron in the hands of Riddle as they go into the enemy jungle, picks up the blue buff and looking for some inhibitors.
Especially with a changed Liandry's Torment doing a bunch more max HP damage. That is Bendix pretty much, I was gonna say one-shotting the Baron, that would not have been true, but doing a bunch of damage to the Baron, which is really strong. Banner of Command complete on towards Skude, shows not to go for the adaptive helm, but Banner of Command will soon be used on towards the bottom side, and there are no minion dematerializers on Roligan.
Now it's all up to defending the siege minions. You can see the focus actually on them right now by that rupture, trying to kill them before the Banner of Command is there, but it's too late. The siege has started, and now it's up to Tronen to try to start this fight. He is looking for the flag, does not have his charge right now, will have to wait for it. Turret is really low, but a great shockwave captures the backline off course. Have to flash out. Tide now in the so far back, cannot get into position to have the fight, but the siege minion is still up. One more auto attack, that's it, and the turret has been destroyed. Riddle right now trying to figure out if they're going to stick around or not. Both Arculus and Tide are very dangerously low, but the Ocean Dragon is going to help them slightly at least to stick around, as the inhibitor has gone down only by that siege minion. And I think it's like 7 hits or something from 100 to 0, going now for the Mountain Dragon as well. And that Baron has given Riddle everything they wanted to win this game.
I think that is so funny, but because by standard League of Legends rules, what you want to do in that situation as Riddle is to either go for the actual siege on towards the inhib or to back off. But they were just sitting kind of in between, not really doing anything, and then we realized pretty quickly, oh, they're just sitting there to peel for the cannon minion to get down the inhibitor. And
you
that
have
ended up
to
being
protect your MVP.
Protect the MVP, and speaking of MVP, a second banner has been picked up by Rudolph. Baron buff is still about, I think that's like 1/3 or 1/4 left on the Baron buff for Riddle, so they will have one more opportunity to push and siege with a Baron buffed banner minion.
And that is going to be difficult, especially with the Kog'Maw as well, that also deals a lot of magic damage with the on-hit. So there is so much magic damage and no way to kill these minions. No dematerializers, nothing. Shogat can't even rupture it since it's magic resistant. So this is very difficult now for Roligan to defend against.
I also think this is one of the reasons that Braum is so good, because he's so good at peeling versus auto attacks. He can just sit in front of the cannon minion with his shield and make that almost immune to any damage coming in. Baron buff has timed out though, so not going to be the super scary Baron banner minions that we used to see, but still pretty damn scary.
Pretty damn scary indeed, as Riddle is now moving in for another turret. Cronin on the side. Gonna want to get that huge combination. Looking for an Emperor's Divide will not stop the ball from hitting. That is the damage they wanted, as Benix was deleted immediately. Concussive Blow's not going to do anything as Croxy kills Rudolph as well. And Riddle, as soon as that Baron minion timed out, they lose that fight in seconds.
Look at the minimap vision for Riddle Esports. That is not okay for a team of your caliber. You are not allowed to push up 5v5 onto the second tier top lane tower without any sort of vision on the flanks. They had no idea that Thronen and Alec was coming in for the flank right there. You've gotta have the mental stamina, the mental fortitude to realize that you need to go for the vision setup in the jungle next to the top lane that you want to be pushing.
Yeah, I think Riddle kind of got overconfident from getting all of these free objectives, getting the free bot lane inhibitor, getting the free dragon, just going up top lane feeling alright, feeling we can do this without the vision. And also note that the Benedicts did not have his cleanse ready when that fight started. Still has flashed up because he was permanently CC'd during that entire combination. And that is the big scary thing with Sejuani and Orianna together. Also, Alec played really smart with the ball placement, used the attack command just as Thronen went in and was forced out with the Emperor's Divide, so that the shockwave was still on the ground and still landed on point.
Yeah, Alec is really the one that's stepping up on towards Team Roligan. Croxy, I have been putting a lot of pressure on him onto this Kog'Maw pick together with the Lulu. He's not been able to do too much so far, actually, when it comes to putting down the damage. Instead, that has been down to Alec. So if I want to see some improvements from Roligan, it would be Croxy stepping up on this Kog'Maw and being more confident for this placement in the team fight.
Croxy, I feel like he's there to clean up. He's the cleanup crew, and he is doing that in a convincing manner.
Oh,
but I agree. Yeah, it's all up to Alec really, and the shockwaves. They have been on point. And here comes the big scary initiation by Nijis, capturing Benedicts. This time Cleanse was there. He gets out of it, and again Riddle just backing off. And Riddle right now, they're just focusing Baron. I mean, their game plan is clear. Oh, that is huge! Can he get the pick? Thronen ace in the hole, will get defended and will get out of that. But that could have been a disaster, as Riddle is now looking for the Baron.
Such a close engagement there on towards Thronen, but he does have a Warmock's armor and the Ocean Dragon, which means he'll regenerate his health very quickly. This might be a 50-50 on towards the Baron. Is Thronen there? Yes, he is.
Thronen is there. He has the smite. Looking for the opportunity, but look, he denied again. Emperor's Divide, keeping him out. Shockwave not enough versus the smite, and Nijis was not even there. Had to back off to the base as Inhibitor had yet to respawn. Another Baron for Riddle, and they still have their double banner of command to use together with the scary siege minions.
I think if Riddle have learned from their previous mistakes of not warding towards the sides and protecting for the flanks, they should be able to finish off this game during this Baron buff. With double banner of command minions, with Achilles' Braum being able to peel for the minions, it's going to be so difficult for Roligan to defend against this. I think if Riddle plays this properly, this game is over in the next 4 minutes.
Yeah, not to be too sure though, because Riddle has been struggling with this split push timing situation before. They have shown that they definitely know what to do on paper, but when it comes down to it, they're really hesitant. I love their playstyle that they know when to back off, and they do that really well. They know to focus on one objective, getting the Baron, and they did it beautifully, getting all of the control around it that they needed. But in this particular situation, when it's all about finishing the game, I feel like that's the point where Riddle always falters.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the final percentage, you got all the setup, you have the goal advantage, you have the Baron buff. Will you be able to just execute on this final push? We are about to find out here as second tier top lane tower goes down. 2 Banner of Command minions are on the map, 1 in the bottom lane, 1 in top lane.
Flank though on the side. Tronen is looking for it, but a great ward placement there by Archelaus is going to keep them safe. And in the game now, Nijus, I think this is the second time we've seen Nijus have to reconnect. Probably like slight lag maybe from home, but in this situation, a slight lag, even a few like milliseconds is going, like you're not going to accept that. You're going to reconnect, you're going to go into it because you do not want to have anything disturbing you right now. This is so intense at the moment.
Yeah, the margins are so small, and in such an important game like the final game of the first day of the Nordic Championship, this will affect a lot of like what the other teams and what the viewers and the fans at home will think about your team. Like if you're gonna go down here 2-1 or if you're gonna take the victory 2-1, that's a huge difference in the public perception of your team. And of course towards the standings as well. So such an important thing for Nihis right now that everything is working for him.
Siege minion is sieging. Turret is taking a lot of damage. Ace in the hole being used on Keaton. Oh, shockwave! A triple shockwave! Emperor survived, trying to save the team, but Riddle has to back out of that situation. That is terrible for them. If they're caught out right now, 30 minutes into the game, death timers are too long for them to defend it. They're going to be able to back out. And again, Alec with the huge shockwaves, not even having to use flash this time around. The siege minion down bottom lane will not be enough to get the turret, to get the inhibitor as well. So Roligan still alive, stalling this Baron minion. And this is, again, like we talked about before, like this is a problem for Riddle, like just to cancel, just to clear out the game and get the win. They know what to do, but these, I want to say small mistakes, but actually having 3 men being caught out by a shockwave, that is not a small mistake, really. That is a huge mistake, and Riddle really need to step up right now.
MVP Alex so far for Roligan, for sure, playing this game really well, but we have to remember that there is still 1/3 or maybe 1/4 of the Baron still left for Riddle. So they definitely have the potential to still make something happen with this. They have picked up a 3rd Banner of Command for Archelaus, which I've got to say might not be the strongest choice, since you've been seeing several team members, especially Bendix, being caught out by hard CC. I would have loved to see a Mikhail's Crucible, or maybe even a Knight's Vow for Archelaus, but as it is, it's a 3rd Banner of Command to play down the herd towards the bottom side. They have to push quickly though, because Baron buff is soon running out, and Tronen is looking for the flank.
Yeah, Tronen again on the side. Swept the area, know that there are no wards there to stop him. Still a little bit worried about engaging in this situation. Bendix this time has cleansed up, no flash though. And the siege minion has dealt some damage to the inhibitor. The inhibitor, one attack from going down. But the minions are there, flash going in, a double shockwave this time. Emperor survived, hits only air, but it zones out the rest of the team. Tide can deal damage from the backline instead, and this time it's Roligan has to back up. Riddle getting the inhibitor finally, just as the Baron buff times out, as they are now moving towards mid lane, possibly top lane, where the inhibitor is wide open for the taking.
Riddle is in a 5 versus 4 situation, so they have to make something happen. It looks like it's going to be mid lane to be the lane of choice. Actually, only 20 seconds left on towards Tronen, so do Riddle have enough time to do something here with this timing window? They are going to go for it, but they have to make quick work of this if they're going to be utilizing the 5 versus 4 advantage. Actually, Scooty's on the top side. Not sure about that decision from the team.
Yeah, it's a split push. Tronen will get out right now. Does not have his glacial prison, of course, but still is tanky enough to be a force to worry about if you are the team of Riddle. So Riddle, they got the inhibitor again, but they need to make something more happen. They're about to get their third dragon off the game. Of course, that is going to be big if we get into the Elder Dragon state of the game. If we get into that 36 minutes. The Elder Dragon, of course, has also been buffed. The first one still gives you the same benefits as earlier, but the second one scales with the first, so that is going to be huge if they can get that. We've already seen that they have a lot of potential to siege and get these dragons very quickly. They have the extra mountain now as well. So I do believe they're going to stall this out and wait for the next Baron, wait for the Elder Dragon, and just keep focusing on these objectives. But at the same time, I mean, Roligan just keeps scaling them as well.
Yeah, I've got to say, these are some unlucky dragons for Riddle Esports, though. One mountain, one ocean, one cloud. That's pretty much as unlucky as you can get when it comes to this stage of the game. When you're really sieging, you want a couple of one of them, or maybe even an infernal one would be the best choice for them if they could choose. But of course, it's random, so sometimes you get unlucky with them. Next objective we're seeing right now, what it is though, Baron being up in about 1 minute, and the Baron dance for Vision has already started, being initiated by Riddle Esports, and this might be what decides this game.
Riddle starting siege again. Even without Baron, these banner-empowered siege minions are really difficult for Roligan to kill. So it is going to help them to have these 3 banner of commands. But at the same time, like you talked about before, I'm not sure if they couldn't have gone for something else still. Like 3 might be a little bit over the top.
Pushing, looking to flank from the left side though.
Another shockwave, this time only hits the front line, but on the side, Tide has to get out, gets glacial pressure, has to use it. Get out again. Croxy now being focused down, but Croxy has so much life still stays alive through all of that, and it's Rudolph instead trying to 1v1, or rather 1v4 the Kog'Maw. Not the best decision in this position.
Yeah, especially since the Baron is spawning in 10 seconds with Rudolph being down. He has the TP, but it's going to be more than 30 seconds until he respawns. Wow, are Riddle going to be ballsy enough to start up this Baron? They know Alec is in the base though, so it would be a 4 versus 4 situation.
Yeah, Alec has to defend the base from the super minions. He's moving out now. Cronin almost caught by the concussive blows. It's a dangerous situation. Neither of these teams can start the Baron, as Alec is just trying to push top lane. If he can rejoin this fight, it's going to be huge. 1 second now for Rudolph. No stand united, but teleport is up. He's looking for the opportunity to use it. It's not going to be able to find it. Could go in for this right now. The fight has started. Cronin almost dies. Oh, great shockwave again! Alex does it again! No stand united, no TP. Alex with the huge shockwave. Baron going down right now as Nijis has to tell Recall back to stop the super minions from killing their base. But the Baron, even if it is so ever so slowly, is about to die. The first Baron that Roligan gets this game. But wow, Ale, I just can't believe the shockwaves we have seen from Alex.
Such a good Orianna player, MVP by far. We need to see the damage graphs after this game, but 4 or 5 man shockwave, absolutely huge. Also got to mention what Rudolph was doing right there. Thought that the fight was kind of not going to be starting so soon, so just ran towards the Baron buff, or sorry, towards the Baron, just by manual force rather than TPing, which turned out to be very punishing for him, and that is a banner of command getting finished up by Tronen. So banner minion bottom lane means that the bot lane siege is going to be there for Roligan, and they've been outplaying them in the team fights. Also got to mention how well Croxy has been playing on this Kog'Maw, playing really far up. Without QSS, without Mikhails, without a cleanse, it's going to be really difficult for your Kog'Maw, because if you get hit by 1 CC, that could end up with you dying. But he's been able to pull it off because of his great positioning.
And also because he has the range. They have to worry about Alec. Alec again and again with the great ball placement just forces the entire team of Riddle to focus him. And still with the front line, I mean, he can't do it. And Roligan I did not believe it at the start of this game. I did not believe it when Riddle got the first Baron. Did not believe it when they got the second Baron. But Roligan right now in complete control of this game, sieging it up, getting a lot of damage onto the enemy team of Riddle. And Roligan just waiting for more minions to come and for the banner of command to go off cooldown. Keep pushing in towards these turrets.
Actually, a bit of a lucky turn of events there for Riddle, as the banner minion was starting to tank up the tower, as well as the smite coming down from Skude on the baron minion, meant that he was able to get that down. And these traps are doing a lot when it comes to the safety, as well as the long range coming out from Bendix. So far, Riddle is holding on.
Proxy now, Arcane Barrage on cooldown, has to back off and wait for the next wave. With the next wave is also the banner of command of cooldown. Up top lane, Rudolph is trying his best to start a slow push and might be able to save them eventually. As Roligan now going for the Elder Dragon that has just spawned. They have only one dragon from before. Elder Dragon should go down fairly quickly. And the question is there going to be a response at all from Riddle? Do they dare to go for this?
I'm not sure if Skude wants to go for the smite. Right now he does not have the flash, and he's up against the Cho'Gath. He just used the feast to secure that, so probably a good choice to play that safely. These banner minions, I mean, when you've got 3 banners, you're always going to be able to get some pressure down if you are Riddle Esports. So starting to get some of that, but still a big advantage, I've got to say, for the team of Roligan. This is an intense one to finish out the day, Sang. We're 40 minutes in. We're pretty much neck and neck in terms of the gold.
Neck and neck. Longest game of the day. Of the tournament, even.
Yes.
Since it's day 1.
Of the streamed part of the tournament, we should say. We have not
it's true. That is
games.
true. We have no idea what happened in the other games. But for this part of the tournament, definitely the longest. Both of the teams have strong late game. Again and again, it's Alec just being that huge pressure player, MVP of the game. But can Alec keep hitting these perfect shockwaves? That is the big question right now, because if Alec misses just one, I think that could be it. It's so difficult for them right now. It has been him doing almost everything. And also Kog'Maw with the on-hit build does not deal too much damage to the turret. Right now, if they only have him, they only have one banner of command and no Baron anymore. So taking down turrets takes some time, and there's so much wave clear as well.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Roligan to just siege up, but at this stage of the game, when you've got 2 people as tanky as this Cho'Gath and as the Sejuani, I don't think you have to care too much about the towers. Going for a tower dive is definitely a strong choice if you're able to find the catch.
Alec going in again with the shockwave, finds the kills. Unbreakable is doing nothing against it. There comes Croxy going in for the finisher. Flashing over the wall, Tronan finds Rudolph. Rudolph with the Sonyas will survive a few more seconds, but it's not enough to keep the team from losing the turrets. Wide
this
open
might
right
be
now.
the game, Sang.
I think this is the game. 30 seconds on Tide, 25 seconds on Achilles. Tide had flash up in that situation.
TP'd in, what?
Rudolph down bottom lane now, he TP'd, but he's the one man to get it with the banner minion. Can this be enough by only Bendix? He's been stunned, he's backing off again. 5 men on these turrets. I do not think that Rudolph can handle this alone. As Bendix tries to keep this alive, tries to do his best to get it with Skude. Another shockwave onto him. Here comes the rest of the team. Tied 1 second away, but not enough as the Nexus has already gone. And it's Roligan winning this series 2-1.
What a way to finish the day, Sang, and what a way to start out the Nordic Championships. Such a close series that ends up with the last game going over 40 minutes and then being decided by a couple of absolutely huge shockwaves coming in from Alec and Riddle not learning from their mistakes.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed by Alec. And although I have to also sort of mention that Tide had heal and flash up in that last fight, it wasn't only the fantastic flash play with a shockwave, but also a bit of a misplay coming out. You're supposed at this level to be able to flash out of the shockwave, especially together with the 90 caliber net too. You should be able to do that, but again, I mean, it wasn't the only shockwave that he hit. I mean, he hit them all game long. At one point, he hit a 4-man shockwave as well, and with that build, the damage he was just stacking up with the Leandres, like, there was really nothing that Riddle could do to handle it. And anytime they tried to go for a siege, Alec was there with the shockwaves, just determining those fights with one click of a button.
Absolutely. I think the mid lane difference was the biggest thing right there with Alec. Making the plays back-to-back, while his opponent, the Azir in the mid lane, I don't think he made a single offensive Shurima shuffle. I think he used the Emperor's Divide just to stay defensive and keep the enemies away a couple of times, but never used that as a playmaking ability, which is what we're seeing from a lot of the good. Not implying that he's not good. He is a good Azir player. But
that
from
was
the
good save. That was a good save.
Freudian slip right there. Now, but from the really, really good, like world-class Azir players like to use that as an engage tool or as a playmaking tool as well. That is not what we've been seeing. So mid lane difference, the name of the game for me here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alec also, I would want to say consistently showing that he is the superior mid laner, although on his Vladimir, again, we mentioned it before, kind of, you know, underwhelming at that point, but in every single game we've seen him otherwise just being that pro player, and I expect to see more of him in the upcoming games of this tournament. Now for day one, this has been awesome. It's been some great games, especially like this last game was intense.
It was really intense, and I mean, we've been waiting so long for this Nordic league to kick off, and what a way to start it. There's been some really high-level plays, there's been a lot of excitement, so I'm really looking forward to the rest of the league. And speaking of the rest of the league, the next broadcast is actually going to be on Thursday, so just in 2 days, you should check us out. Follow this site, there it is, the Nordic Championship. Follow us on Twitter, just stay in touch to not miss out on the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will see you on Thursday, so be there or be square.